What's going on, guys? Matty G back here with you on Football with Flags. Thanks so much for joining us. Today's video is all about the Confederations Cup. Now, remember, this tournament was held every time the summer before the World Cup to bring in the continental champions across the globe. So it got me thinking, what would the 2025 Confederations Cup look like if we had it to look forward to this summer? Sadly, now we are 8 years removed from the last Confederations Cup, which took place in Russia in 2017. Now, of course, FIFA did decide to wind up creating the Club World Cup, which is taking place this summer in the United States. And while I know many fans are certainly excited about it, for me personally, the summer has always, to me, been about the international game. And the Confederations Cup allows some of these continental champions, some teams that maybe didn't always qualify for the World Cup or have the greatest opportunities to qualify for the biggest tournament of them all, to showcase themselves on a global stage this summer before. Now, of course, again, I know FIFA are trying to create more revenue streams, and the Club World Cup, they thought, was a good opportunity to do so to help rival UEFA Champions League. But again, for somebody like myself and for the sake of this channel, the Confederations Cup was always a great little tournament to kind of help just boost the big one coming up the next year following. And so to have it go away is certainly very unfortunate. Now, again, another reason why it wound up going away was, I think, a lot of concerns due to the high temperatures in Qatar, of course, during their summer months. And obviously, we all saw that the World Cup had to be moved to November. So I don't know if we could do 2 years in a row where we wound up moving a Confederations Cup to, kind of right in the middle of a club season as well in 2021. And unfortunately, I think that had to do with a lot of issues as far as abandoning this tournament as well. Now, of course, we have seen Finalissima be created also, but again, that's only bringing in the champions from Copa America and the UEFA Euros. So I don't know if they ever had ideas of turning that into an actual tournament, or if it's just always going to kind of stay in its one-game showdown, which again was, I believe, supposed to take place sometime this year, but due to scheduling conflicts, they've had to move it back, and it'll take place in 2026, I believe in March at some point. But nevertheless, the Confederations Cup, unfortunately, abandoned in 2017, and something that I think myself and a lot of other people out there certainly miss in terms of the international game. This tournament obviously would be a little bit trickier considering we do have 3 hosts instead of just one. However, if you had to give the host spot to one nation, it feels like it has to be the United States, obviously, with hosting 78 games throughout the entire competition. Now, Mexico would get the CONCACAF spot because they are the most recent holders of the Gold Cup. There is a conversation, obviously, maybe of having 12 teams that we could potentially throw Canada in there and have some more runners-up. But for the sake of this video, we'll just leave them out. Mexico obviously taking the Gold Cup spot, the United States with the host. Then you've got Argentina, of course, the defending World Cup champions. You've got Spain, obviously, being the defending champions of the Euros. Ivory Coast, defending AFCON champions. Qatar, defending Asian champions. OFC champions are New Zealand. And then we obviously would have to add another spot for CONMEBOL from Copa America, considering Argentina now have won both and are the defending champions of the World Cup and that tournament as well. So Colombia, since they made it to the final, they would take up the 8th spot. And so here's what that draw potentially could look like in terms of the pots. Of course, Argentina and Spain at the top, number 1 and 2 currently. Then you've got Colombia, the United States, and Mexico all really close. They're between 14th and 17th. And then, of course, Ivory Coast sneaking in there in pot 3 at 41st, and then Qatar and New Zealand down at the bottom. But nevertheless, very, very intriguing group of 8, in my opinion, in terms of the potential groups that we could see out of these 8 teams, the matchups that we could have as well, especially even leading into the semifinals and a final. There would, however, be a few potential limitations with the draw, obviously with Argentina and Colombia, and then the United States and Mexico. I think FIFA would do everything they can to make sure that they aren't in the same groups. So here are some potential draws that you could see. Obviously, I think the top one makes the most sense, would most likely be the most ideal for FIFA in terms of the group stage and not having those conflicts. But it is kind of interesting to look down at the bottom to consider if Argentina and Colombia or the United States and Mexico were in the same group, and the possibility of them going up head-to-head at the end of the group stage to try and advance to the semifinals, especially for the United States and Mexico. What a crazy game that would be, especially if you look down at that bottom mock draw and you've got them potentially both losing to Argentina, and then they both possibly get a win against New Zealand, and then they're paired up against each other on 3 points. Who knows what the goal differential situation looks like, but then going head to head to try and make it out of the group. Certainly very exciting stuff, I think, for all the fan bases if that were to be the case. But again, most likely that top mock draw would be something that they would follow. Well, guys, I certainly hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already done so. And let us know down in the comments which type of groups you would like to see out of these 8, as well if they moved it to 12 teams, which potential runners-up in other continental champion tournaments would you like to see be added onto this list as well? If you included Canada and some other teams, who else would you like to see in this competition? Maybe England, someone from Africa, maybe someone from OFC, who knows? But let me know down in the comments. Again, thank you guys so much for your support. And until next time, take care.